Hi, I'm Josh.
And I'm Derek. We're both experienced founders and CEOs of B2B SaaS companies, and now we're your hosts.
In today's world, getting accurate information about B2B SaaS products is tough. User review sites are manipulated, and research reports are often wildly inaccurate or paid for. That's why we're here, to bring you information that no one else does.
We go straight to the software companies themselves to break down their products, show you a demo, and give you our honest opinions. Whether you're a software buyer, investor, or user, this podcast is for you.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Talk SaaSy to Me. Today we've got a special guest. We've got founder and CEO Trent from Arrears. And Trent, let's dive in. So tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're the right guy to create Arrears and what you're solving.
Well, first and foremost, g'day, because I'm Australian, now in Los Angeles. So I'll start with that before anybody guesses what is that accent. Myself, I've been in finance and technology for over a decade. Sounds like a long time, but it feels like it was yesterday that, you start building your first product. That really began in debt collection and creating digital efficiency around debt collection in Australia for a company that I founded called Credit Clear. 6 years later, that company went public. Now I'm over in the US building Arrears.com, which is an AR or accounts receivable automation tool that helps businesses and financial operations teams that are operating off NetSuite manage and create an efficiency layer over their existing accounts receivable processes, and or using us to create a new accounts receivable process that is through a number of automation steps and utilizing, I guess, the accounting side of NetSuite, and then adding that package of accounts receivable and invoice management over the top to create a really supercharged version of a NetSuite product.
Awesome. And tell us. So you mentioned NetSuite, but tell us, I guess, the scope of the business. Maybe I don't know if you are comfortable sharing maybe a range of number of customers or revenue, or also some of the other systems you tap into in addition to just NetSuite.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we cover off most of the major ERPs. We're connected through, we're connected to a number of merchant processors. So we provide the ability for people to come in and start processing payments digitally, through cards, through ACH, through digital wallets, and try to create a better consumer or consumption experience, whether that's B2B or B2C or both. The business itself has, we launched it in September 2023. We have a number of larger sort of enterprise style customers doing anywhere from $5 to $50 million in annual revenue, and a number of those utilize us for invoice origination and or solely for the accounts receivable part of their practice.
Let's talk about accounts receivable. No one likes chasing down accounts receivable. Man, it's brutal.
Yeah.
It's just, it's awkward. It can get emotional. How are you making people's lives easier?
I mean, there's two parts to it for us. So it always starts with, how do you get somebody to pay without creating that angst or that anxiety of, okay, I'm a business owner, I owe, SaaSy, $5,000 for some services that they've provided. How do I then, make that payment, or how does SaaSy then communicate that to me in a way where I guess we're coming in a balanced experience? And and then the second part to that is, when somebody does owe you money and that invoice does become overdue, and there is $1 trillion in B2B invoices that are paid 51 days plus late in the US. So we see that as our sort of cornerstone problem that we're tackling, is how do you get the right communication channels? How do you get it to the right person in the business? And then how do you provide them with optionality to want to make that payment? Whether that's just simply connecting payment rails to existing invoice processes, or actually creating campaigns that approach that customer based on a risk profile or previous interactions, or get ahead of somebody that does pay late and try to get them to interact with you to make that payment constantly through the automation within our system. As well as on top, and I think the most important layer to what we do is everything is personalized and white labeled. So as a SaaS product, our customers are utilizing their own brand when communicating with their own customers, and we're really circumventing that need for anybody to feel like they're having an experience outside of the SaaSy business that may be sending out an invoice.
So tell us about those features then. Yeah, like run through some of those features, man. Let's I know we're going to see a demo obviously later, but like run through some of the features around how you're actually doing that.
Sure.
Most people know that there's emails you can send and sequence, et cetera. But, we obviously, one of the things Derek and I really found interesting about you guys is some of the AI that you're using in these different campaigns. So tell us some of the features.
Yeah. So, I mean, when we built this system, it was really about how can we create a scalable product for a business owner that can take away 70% of their heavy lifting that's required when creating, sending, and managing accounts receivable, creating, sending invoices, and managing their accounts receivable. And I think the first part to that is really perfectly orchestrating communication. What we mean is, or how we do that is we really create the multiple channels. So it could be anywhere from an SMS, an email, or an automated phone call. You've got your other social media channels for more of the follow-up stuff when somebody isn't responsive. But I think that's a little further down from where we're focused here. We look to provide frictionless settlement options, so frictionless payment options, attaching digital payment rails to invoices, and harnessing the power of AI, which is really like, how do we sift through vast amounts of data, create priorities, and put a specific user or a specific payer into a campaign that's relevant to them, rather than just that typical, bill.com or, QuickBooks follow-up mechanism. 7 days late, you receive a templated email from that provider. We really try to orchestrate that, personalize it, provide payment options, and then sort of advance the workflow through integrating with anywhere from, Salesforce, NetSuite, data through to the Arrears data platform, the workflow orchestration, and then providing, I guess, that the in-depth analytics and the ability to really understand and forecast how your receivables are going to perform month in, month out.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Trent. So tell us a little bit more about that. In working with ERP systems a lot, companies will use that basic functionality within an ERP system for reminders or follow-ups on invoices. And obviously, sometimes extending that functionality is tricky depending on which ERP you're using. So how do you find that works in terms of clients? Sort of what does Arrears bring to the table that your standard accounting system is not going to be able to actually do?
Yeah, I mean, for example, NetSuite is great for accounting, but it isn't built for getting paid. And there's so much more that goes into just getting paid. There's so much more that goes into getting an invoice paid than just generating an invoice. And that is simply because a lot of things change in both a business, in the economy and a business's life. People are constantly moving right now. There's a lot of disconnect through finance teams and people that we find that come to us and are saying basically, we are currently using like an ACH and a PDF method. We don't want to pay for that upgrade for payments on NetSuite, or we need to be more personalized. And the options that are being provided to them are really like lodge a ticket, change an invoice, or do this. We really have created that agile experience for a business owner where they can come in, they integrate with their existing data, that data gets pulled into our system, it sifts through that, creates the prioritization, and then allows you to orchestrate personalized campaigns. And those campaigns are really based on how you want to get paid, and then providing the most amount of optionality to get paid, as well as monitoring and understanding your analytics all the way through as well. And I think accounting systems, again, they're really, we use them as a business. But on top of that, I add Arrears has its own account within our platform to actually send invoices, because it is just much easier to create an invoice, get that out with our system, and report that back into. We use QuickBooks ERP for our business right now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And just out of interest, a lot of these ERP systems, they have kind of minimal integration with payment processing. So for example, they'll only support a certain number of payment processors, or they'll only support you at a certain rate that you're getting. Or for example, if you're going to do ACH transfers to pay invoices, then it's not going to save your information. It's only going to be one time. There's all these different limitations depending on which ERP you're using. So maybe tell us a little bit more about, you mentioned the payment rails that integrate. How does that really work within the platform?
Sure. So what we've done is, there's a lot of parts to, siloing data, managing that customer experience, and then providing those payment rails. And the way that we've done the payment rails is we've teamed up with, we've got, Fiserv, we've got Elevon, we've got FIS, we've got Authorize.net, we've got Stripe. We've really teamed up with as many merchant processors as we can. We provide that functionality, that auto pay generation, the different types of payment mechanisms being payment plans or promises to pay later, try to really help people orchestrate a better way for them to absorb those payments. And then we provide access to most of the major merchants.
That's great. And when someone works with you, do they have to go through the payment processing through you, or can they bring their own merchant to the table if it's one of the ones that you support?
Yeah. So again, like we provide access to a dozen merchants, and the top ones being Stripe and Fiserv and Elevon. All of these processors, you can come to us with an existing account, or you can create an account through us. I guess the economics with creating an account through Arrears is that we have buying power, and our processing rates are generally, a couple of 50 basis points less than what you're going to get if you, were to go straight to a processor yourself.
I like that.
Yes.
That sounds good to me. I like to save money. So tell us a little bit about the ROI. Like, let's say someone's not using a collections tool versus using Arrears, or maybe even versus using just what comes in a standard ERP with some email reminders. What kind of ROIs are you guys seeing? Like, look, obviously we talked about collections can be a pain in the butt, but like, let's get through the pain in the butt part. What type of ROI? Like you mentioned that so many receivables are past, I think you mentioned 51 days. Like, what are you guys bringing down that collection time, that DSO to?
Yeah, so we find generally when a new customer joins us, whether they're in the real estate business, whether they're in manufacturing or supply, transport, logistics, these types of industries are really used to an outdated invoicing and accounts receivable practice. So as soon as they join us, we find that they get a huge uplift. Generally 300 to 400% of payments will start to be transacted much faster in the first 30 days, which does reduce that DSO. On average, we've seen people get down from around 50 to 15, or 51 on average, down to 15. And those are generally customers that are high-frequency billing customer, provide a high frequency of invoices, haven't digitalized any of their practices, and now are using Arrears tools that we've developed for today's consumer or today's business operator.
That's incredible. 51 or 50 to 15.
Yeah.
That's massive. So tell us a little bit.
No, I was going to say, Josh, it really comes down to the change in practice for a business, taking their general ACH, which is already giving you, 2 to 3 days delay anyway for that to be reported and then recorded into your ERP, maybe an extra day, depending on the integration you have with your bank, where we're taking that payment, we're instantly reporting that back into the ERP so that invoice, that invoice has been paid and you can move on from that customer.
Yeah. We had in a prior business just an email tool, and we had payment links. Yeah. So there was links to do it through a processor. So that was all automated to receive and record the invoice being paid. But ours was just an email tool. It didn't have the AI and all the campaigns that you'll show in your demo. And maybe we brought our DSO down 4 days, but wasn't so material.
And that's in practice is probably great for you as a tech guy. You know how to set systems up and you know how to automate a bunch of stuff. But if you're a business operator, you're coming to us because you're scaling, you're growing. You might be going from 1.5 million in revenue to 5 million in revenue, and that 3.5 million, you're still going to have probably a 20% latency on people paying you on time. Then we're going to start looking at how do we personalize those campaigns to your payers and your brand and create a better experience of both a nature that helps you grow because you don't need to hire more people to manage an exuberant amount of invoicing or accounts receivable. You're actually able to just leverage the automation in our system. And our system does, we're very fortunate to have a really great AI product manager. He's done this. He did a PhD on Arrears as a business and how to utilize different parts of AI into scaling accounts receivable, issuing and orchestrating invoices at scale as well, and then the mechanisms and basically using scoring engines to figure out which customers are going to be paying and which ones won't, and then directing them into various campaigns. And I'm excited to show you the demo so you can kind of see how that looks and where the system will allocate a certain customer of a business to ensure that they're maximizing the repayment of any invoices or the payment of any invoices that they have due or outstanding.
Awesome. In terms of your guys' right fit customer, so you mentioned a number of the systems you work with, and maybe you want to repeat them, NetSuite, QuickBooks, et cetera, but also tell us a little bit about maybe the company size in terms of revenue or industry. Is there any focuses there, or is it pretty broad? Just someone has invoices? Tell us a little bit about that.
We launched in September, so it's been 11 months. We've taken on a spread of industry. What we've really found is, I guess, the non-bank lenders, people that are processing credit card, delinquencies, manufacturers and suppliers that as business grows, and business is growing in America for a lot of companies, but hiring people has been a challenge, and then digitalizing a lot of that invoicing process without the need to, and NetSuite consultants are by far the pick of engineers and solution providers out of the NetSuite sort of world. Are by far the most advanced when it comes to any ERP solutions. But that's still costly. That's still, I guess, an obsolete, mechanism that's provided off the shelf with these types of ERP, with an ERP or an accounting package. And we try to really just provide that personalized, customizable, self-service experience where it's really drop and drag. You can create something. It doesn't matter if you're running a truck company or it doesn't matter if you're running a bank. You'll have the same experience, be it given the different industries. And then, I guess to answer your question, our focus for now has really been on solutions consultants that are helping their NetSuite customers and ERP customers, as well as, and that comes in that's anywhere from content and media all the way through to trucking and logistics and finance in between that. So our product is not built specifically just for one industry, but we are finding, I guess, at this time in an economic cycle that we're going through, that we're seeing a lot of businesses, especially in finance and sort of the manufacturing and supply, being quite coming to us more than we're coming to them, I guess.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it feels like businesses are starting to see the ROI. I feel like with an AR automation solution, sometimes in companies, it's difficult for business owners to see the ROI within the tool until they start looking at the details, right? Because I think from a business executive standpoint, a lot of times people are not really looking at the AR aging. That's kind of an accounting function in there. And as long as customers are eventually paying, oftentimes they are, it kind of goes under the radar as an area. And it feels like understanding some of those metrics about how quickly you can get paid and how that can actually impact your cash flow. And I feel like if businesses start to evaluate that back against, maybe they have a credit line with the bank that they pay interest on that they have to use sometimes, or maybe they have other things that they need to dip into in order to, satisfy the fact that they need cash flow more urgently. So it's really always interesting to me to take a look at the ROI metric of a tool, because it certainly, the staff component is one part of it. A lot of businesses are still on that legacy, somebody chasing up invoices manually, somebody following up manually, potentially printing things and mailing them, and then obviously doing all the reconciliation to the bank. And those are kind of hidden, time-consuming activities that seem to sometimes take a lot more time than they should in a business. And oftentimes, in my past, implementing software or going and seeing that, it's amazing to me to realize that a business has 7 or 8 employees just purely chasing up invoices, or even a small business has one person full-time just doing quote unquote invoicing. But when you really look at it, there's not a lot of action there that can't be automated.
I mean, to your point, there's you've sparked some thoughts in my mind around the education process and getting a customer onto Arrears is always like, do I really need this? Is adding another layer of software going to be better for me, or just take up more of my time? And there is always a hesitation as a business owner, and I go through this with CRMs. Like, you get pitched a new feature in a CRM, or you're on an account manager's list, and you're constantly thinking, oh, if I was going to move from HubSpot to Salesforce, all that data and everything that I have to do is just going to be nightmarish and long dated, and take away from my day-to-day growth and focusing on building a business. But at the same time, and then it's like, do I care about my receivables? You're completely right. Customers really need that education of what's the value of their receivables, especially in a high interest rate economy. And that does become a tool. And as it becomes a tool, you're talking about, we see essentially around a 70% efficiency for if you're a single person operating an operating the accounts receivable practice within a business. We're seeing the use of our product both through their generative AI, the AI chatbots, and everything that we add into the package as being like creating a super employee within that business, or a supercharged accounts receivable manager who can do things at scale. And we've seen that with we have customers both onshore and offshore who have scaled to multiple licenses with our product and been able to take on more customers, even in small medical billing practices, where they're managing multiple different brands across different medical billings, product, be it, and those medical billing customers are paying sort of $90 or up to $500 as part of their premiums. We've seen people be able to scale and add in our mechanisms and our communication tools and our payment tools and attach that to a far more efficient business. And we've had incredible feedback from those types of practices that may have been around for 20 years, with a foundation of customers, and just adding in the Arrears processing and the Arrears, the Arrears workflows has seen a dramatic change across a lot of these businesses.
That's awesome. And maybe to that end too, so tell us, obviously people you mentioned could be hesitant to move forward, and maybe it's the alternative is hiring staff, which has its challenges. What's an implementation like? How quickly are people up and running?
Yeah, so I mean, for an off-the-shelf NetSuite integration, it's basically just copy your API key and put it into the platform, or log into your credentials, and it will do all that integration. So we have a lightning fast integration into the major ERP systems. We have done some customization into sort of energy billing for other customers, but we can get you up and going within a matter of minutes, and then we'll show you in the demo. But basically, you create your brand, you set up all your payment mechanisms, your contact center, and all of your customers are all pulled in from the integration, and then any reporting is pushed straight back, and any notes or anything that comes through is pushed back to NetSuite. We have had recently, today actually is Tuesday's our company stand-up, and we were talking about the implementation of the new project-based billing mechanisms that come out of NetSuite alone. We've had some customers that do project-based billing. They require deposits up front, acceptances of their services, and we do all of that for them now and generate the originating invoice, and then provide payment plans across maybe a 10 to 24 month payment cycle on a product or service that they've received as well. So our system will automate that invoice, check that there's been any anomalies or changes. It will go in as a draft, and then their finance operator will be able to approve all of those one by one.
Great. All right. I know everyone's going to want to see this demo, and we're getting pretty close. I just personally have one more question. Derek may have more, but what's next? What's on the product roadmap? Oh, yes. Tell us something to get us excited.
Well, I mean, for me, it's all about customer experience. So we're constantly working on our customer portal, and the customer portal is not the invoicer; it's the invoicee, or the person making the payment. So we're working on a number of mechanisms to make that mobile experience better, make that automation experience better, and then data and analytics is going to be a big part of driving I guess, a lot of intelligence and a lot of outcomes for our customers. So we are working on a really interesting scoring aspect with Gonzalo, our AI product manager, and also some upgrades to our contact center to make the conversation more seamless, more humanized on the AI side, and then eventually we're going to be looking at a full AI, phone-based system, which will hopefully feel like a human. And as models get smarter and quicker, we always are leveraging the latest technology to try to improve those things. So for us, it's really about providing a more seamless experience. And what I'm most looking forward to is all the input that our teams had on the end user and how we can improve that. And I think the next wave of templates and functionality for a business to be able to personalize things is going to be even more accelerant than what we've done so far.
Awesome. All right. I think it's time. Let's see a demo.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to go. Hi, everybody. I'm Daniel. I'm the customer success manager over here at Arrears. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can start taking a look at Arrears itself.
Yeah, so we're going to start as an operator would see on the daily through our platform. So this is simply the dashboard. You can see sort of the interactions and outstanding amount or overdue amount of $4.7 million. Really, I mean, you're talking about 317 accounts here, and you could have a single operator managing this, and a single finance manager or financial operations person managing this. Through our contact center, you get to see all of the interactions that have gone on between customers in live time. So that could be through a notice going out through a campaign, provides any of the updates. You can interact with that customer in live time. So this is really the communications layer that goes on top of your ERP that doesn't exist. And then we have a chatbot. So here, what Daniel's just done is created an SMS. It understands all of the information on this account. For example, Addie, who is assigned to Addie, but this is Sophie Sweets. This account has an outstanding balance of $206. What Daniel just did then was that little AI fun-looking button down on the left. He clicked that, and that's just taken all the information from the account and generated an SMS relevant to the stage in the AR process that this is at. So then that gets sent off, and then Daniel, we can go to another account. And I guess what I'd love to show is really the campaigns and how these are created. So that's a nice little look into actually the contact center and the mechanisms. You can also make phone calls to your customers off that. So when you sign up an account with us, we set up the VoIP, SMS, and email pipes. And the emails and SMSs are all from a dedicated number or a dedicated email address. You can use our generic domains. So we have like paymyplan, payrr.com, a number of different domains that we really just try to personalize and put your brand in the front. Or through your DNS, you can add your own domain name and communicate personally from your own mailbox. But this is a campaign that is managed by an operator. You can see that as soon as an invoice is due, that being the day that it's overdue, it gets pulled from the NetSuite system. So the API call says, "Oh, there's an overdue invoice," pulls that into Arrears. Then these actions start taking place, and that also attaches a copy of the invoice in there as well as those links. We've got a manual task. So this is a sequence of emails and timed. We've got a manual task that, we can assign that to an operator as well or a finance manager. So that works very well when you've got a team leader and a number of finance operators. You can assign different tasks to different operators. And then maybe, Daniel, if you just want to create an SMS and just show how that part will come out as well. So very simply, we'll generate it from, we have a number of generative AI templates, and then we also have built our own generative little model off the back of the Rasa framework. So this is specifically built for accounts receivable. So you see, very easy, Josh, to kind of move that around. And Derek, as you can see, that there's a variable of things that people can do. So creating that drip campaign. In this instance, this is just a off-the-shelf, one day overdue, starts communicating with that customer in this sequence. The messages start to change and evolve. There is also the ability, if you just want to click on templates, Daniel, we can create a whole campaign just based on a category, the tone of voice, and any other factors you want to put in there as well on the right. But we'll just that's general payment. So that will create a sequence where you can drop and drag those across into that campaign as well. In terms of customers, you'll be able to see here that what it actually does is it's a smart campaign based on a filter. So that filter is anyone with an outstanding invoice that's more than 1 day, it will be pulled into here. Then it will, and then we can also run that as fixed, which will just run it during the day, and we can change those audience types as well. But then in the schedule, which I find most exciting, is you're really picking and choosing the days of communication. And then we have a thing called smart timing, and what that does for a customer, Derek, is really pinpoints optimal times of interaction, days of interaction of the week. So it could be like, for example, we pay bills on Thursdays. We sit down, we go through all invoices as Thursdays, bill day. It will know that, Arrears makes their payments on Thursdays, so it'll optimize all of those campaigns to send reminders on Thursdays if something's overdue. And that I find it has been a huge tool or a huge ROI for a lot of practical bricks and mortar companies. Let's just go into the settings, and we'll just we'll quickly show you the customization or the front end. So what you're able to do is really brand your own portal, how people see you through your logo, your interactions. You'll have, as I said, there'll be a copy of the invoice at the time on here, as well as a description, and someone can jump in, make a full payment, schedule a payment, or create a payment plan if that's offered. And then, general things like customer settings, all very easy to change. This is at an admin level, so there is sort of the admin and then the operator level access available. And then the generative AI stuff, I think that's fun to show. So just sort of shows what the customers will see, and you can create some, when you're in the platform, you can play around and sort of create some fun messages in there and fill that interaction as well. From a practical point of view, I know Daniel we might just go into a customer and then we'll just show the customer portal, and
perfect.
Hopefully that's given you some insights. Is there any questions there, Derek? Because I know that I'm going to try to sell you this product.
No, I think that's all good so far. So I guess just one quick question would be, so let's say the person has NetSuite or QuickBooks or one of these tools. This is pulling that data over basically and syncing it back in real time or close to real time with that tool. Is that right?
Yeah, Daniel, could you go into settings and just show that that integration part?
Oh, yes.
So within here, you'll just connect any of your ERPs, or with a public API you can generate a public API key for any of the custom billing systems or CRMs. Yeah, so you'll connect that, and that will pull that in live time. It can make so the integration settings are all set as you log into your NetSuite account, and that could be that you pull invoices that are 7 days late, you pull invoices that are 14 days before they're due. There's a number of ways you can pull that data, and then what happens is every time there's an interaction, it pushes an API call back into your NetSuite and gives an update to your system.
And then obviously the payments that are made through the Arrears software, that gets communicated back to NetSuite. So that's published there as well.
Perfect.
Excellent. I mean, that's a bit of a look as to the ease and functionality, and then the setup is obviously, creating an account, integrating with your ERP, and then building out your campaigns, which is, something that a lot of SaaS products you may need a lot of customization. We've really built it from the thinking of how does a customer come in and customize it to their own needs without needing to talk to anybody. But if there is a higher level of customization, we're available, and we're very agile and very fast and cheap, very cheap.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much for showing that demo, Daniel and Trent. That was incredible. So obviously this isn't meant to steal a full demo thunder or process at all, but why don't you tell the audience what they would do as a next step if they want to get in touch with you guys and learn more and get a full demo, et cetera.
Yeah, thank you. So Arrears.com, ARREARS.com. It's a Commonwealth word, but I'm pushing the brand. I know that it's accounts receivable and arrears. So if you want to get in touch, it's arrears.com. There's a tab at the top to schedule a demo. That will be with Daniel or Addie, our partnership manager, and the ability to really delve into your personalized needs. We have a brochure that I'm happy to send anybody if they want to email me in as well. And we're always readily available and, keen to talk to different people, show them our solution and understand the problem that they're trying to solve. And, a lot of it could just basically be adding payment rails without the need to, spend a lot of money to integrate that, or just simply, simplifying their customer process and experience, all of those things that we're happy to help with. So, we're here at Arrears.com.
All right, Derek. So we just heard from founder and CEO Trent at Arrears. What did you think?
I felt like it's a good product. I feel like he's the right person to build a product. He's been doing this type of work for a long time, and it's a good looking solution, which makes a difference. I feel like when customers go to pay and they see something that looks professional and smooth, and it feels like a lot of different payment options and payment methods, which is also good selection within the tool. I feel like, having worked with lots of customers that look at an AR automation solution, they really need to see the ROI to be able to move forward on the solution. And the ROI really comes down to a few things. It's sort of like, how long are they waiting to get paid on their invoices currently? Is that going to improve? And does that improvement in the cash flow help them? And also, sometimes when invoices get late, stuff goes wrong. People leave, or companies go out of business, or they just don't get paid, period. So getting paid quickly is really helpful. And it feels like the ERP integration that they have and being able to get up and running fast is super important as well, because you don't want an implementation of a tool like that to take too long. So looks like a great product from my perspective.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of things you said. I mean, we asked the question of ROI, and he said on average 51 to 15 days. That's a lot. Again, when I had AR automation software, maybe I got 4 days, but mine was just emails, using templates and schedules, et cetera. But I can see how things like text messages and, using some of the AI chatbot features could make it a little more personal. I think one of the things that I like is they're all about bringing kind of that human touch or connection back to the process, which is important because it is an awkward process sometimes. But yeah, I like the simplicity. It was clean. It integrates to the major systems. I'm a huge fan of AR automation from a collections perspective. And I think anything is better than nothing, but this is certainly one that stands out amongst the myriad of competitors. I think some people out there are going to say, well, I want one that's built into my invoice tool. And if you're invoicing out your ERP, you may not get that. But if you're invoicing out of another tool, you may get that. But for those who don't have the optionality to do this in their invoice tool, and getting a third party to do it is great. And I remember when we had ours, I was hesitant at first too. It's like, oh, another tool to set up. How's this going to do? But once you get it set up, it's set it, forget it. And, again, the value is there, even if you only get a couple days off your DSO. And again, set it, forget it, plus a couple days was a no-brainer, at least for us. And they're very inexpensive tools too, which is nice.
That is nice. And really, one of the things that I've noticed over time is that ERP software and accounting software really does not do a good job at following up on invoices. They could easily build that functionality into the tool because they have all the data. And for whatever reason, they just have not done so. And it's still a mystery to me of why they haven't, but it just seems like that's the case.
Yeah, why? You would think that would just be like the next thing on the roadmap, like, hey, let's make sure we can help our customers collect cash. Because by the way, the software company wants to get paid too. Do you guys use a AR automation tool? What do you guys use at your business?
No, right now we do the old school way where we try to do personal follow-up, create a personal relationship with the person on the accounting team at the client, which is also a good help. And in fact, Arrears would be a great tool to do that because you have so many easy communication tools at your fingertips, but trying to develop a relationship with the counterpart over at the client side. And then we have a series of automated follow-ups on all of the invoices. But at the end of the day, resending invoices with a new follow-up template is only that's pretty easy to achieve anywhere. It's really how do you stay on top of that and handle it when the customer is not paying appropriately, that this type of extra layer could be able to provide.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point for the audience. Depending on your industry, like if you're in services like Derek or software or a combination of the two, it could be a different experience than if you're selling products, because the reality is there's a much bigger connection with the buyer or your client versus customer, right? Depending on the industry. So like even when we were using an AR automation tool, there were still times, I was getting involved to make sure things were handled appropriately. And it was nature of the beast. But if it took my involvement from 90% to 10%, that was a win. But yeah, I think that's a good thing for people to know is it's not a silver bullet, but it can get you pretty close to it depending on your industry.
Yeah, very much so. And like you say, industries are different, right? Some people don't pay because they didn't get the invoice, but others don't pay because they are upset about the service that they received, or there's something underlying. And instead of talking about it, they just decided to not pay the invoice. And so it's important to know who your customers are and to take the appropriate follow-ups.
Awesome. That's really good advice. All right. This has been another episode of Talk SaaSy to Me. Like us, love us, subscribe to us, and we'll see you next time.